co-founder and president, David Layton.
Thank you, Ken, and thanks everybody for being here. Yesterday was awesome. It's great to see so many of you back, and it's my honor to introduce Aditi Banerjee. Aditi's been part of WITI for a big part of her amazing career, and we're so excited when she took on such an amazing role at DXC, and we've been working together not only to create more value for WITI members and partners, but also really to build up our aerospace and defense community. So we're excited to have this month as part of Summit. So Aditi, I'm going to send it over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, David. Well, good morning, good afternoon, audience here, and our speakers. So I am Dr. Aditi Banerjee, and I'll be your host today. So DXC Technology, in partnership with Women in Technology International, WITI, is bringing this event today on aerospace and defense. I want to extend a very warm welcome to my esteemed speakers and the members of the audience, and thank you for being here. Today's theme is going to be on aligning purpose with profit, and we're going to take a look at how digital transformation, innovation, and cybersecurity drive outcomes in the business. I would like to spend a little bit time introducing myself and DXC Technology, and then we will get right into introducing our esteemed speakers and get into a panel discussion. So I'm the Vice President of Aerospace and Defense Industry for the Americas for DXC Technology. So, I have been in the technology industry for over 20 years, working with several firms, variety of clients across variety of industries. I have a PhD from North Carolina State University and an MBA from Southern Methodist University. I have been an advisory a board member of Women in Technology International for over 10 years. And I have worked with David and Carolyn for more than 10 years in collaborating and bringing different themes and sessions to WITI internationally. So really happy to be working with David on that. DXC Technology helps global companies run their mission critical systems and operations, focusing on modernization of IT, optimizing data architecture, and securing and scaling cloud-based infrastructure. We have a specific focus in aerospace and defense industry. We've been working in this industry for decades and working with some of the largest clients in the world. We not only do information technology work for our clients, but we also help our clients in their digital transformation journey, which is in the area of ERP modernization, Industry 4.0, model-based enterprise, digital twin, and so on and so forth. We also have a specific focus on security, where we help our clients assess risk and proactively solve for with threat intelligence, zero trust strategy, and compliance. So today's discussion is going to be on the topics of industry trends in aerospace and defense, cybersecurity, digital transformation, and careers in aerospace and defense. I would like to welcome the honored speakers and esteemed speakers we have today to introduce them and get started with their introduction and the panel discussion. So I have with me today Todd Keckley, who's the Executive VP and CIO of Bell Textron. I have Dorcia Jolliffe, who is the Vice President, CIO, and Digital Transformation Leader at Lockheed Martin. And I have Amanda Clark, who is the Cybersecurity and Information Technology Director and Chief of Staff at Huntington Ingalls. Thank you so much for being here today to inspire the audience and inspire the world about our industry and about what's happening here. So I would like to welcome Todd for his introduction next. Thank you, Todd.
Thanks, Aditi. Before I begin, I just want to say it's a tremendous pleasure to be here today and to be with this group. and to be part of this esteemed panel. Everyone knows being in technology, and particularly being in a senior leadership role in technology, is a very hard job, and it's always quite a privilege to be able to take time out to participate in things like this. Just a little bit about me. So as Aditi said, I'm the Executive Vice President and CIO at Bell. Bell is a business unit as part of the Textron family of businesses. If you're not familiar with Textron, you're probably familiar with some of our familiar brands, Cessna Aircraft, Beechcraft, E-Z-GO golf cars. So it's more of a conglomerate company that focuses on aerospace and defense and in our commercial businesses as well. I've been in this role, I've had the privilege to be in this role for the last 3 years. Prior to that, I was the Vice President CIO of our sister business unit, Textron Systems, predominantly focused on defense in several areas of air, surface, and ground defense products. And I'm just very happy. I spent a 15-year career with Bell Textron. And prior to that, I spent a lot of my career in both private and in consulting types of capacities in industry, where I worked largely in large-scale enterprise systems modernization efforts, implementing systems across various industries, and spent a lot of my time coming up as a program manager, not really having spent a lot of time in the weeds as a software developer or a very technical person. My career has largely led me through program management, and really positioned myself to be able to get into this role, having had a lot of success in executing a lot of large programs, and having some failures too, which I've learned along the way. Bell's is embarking on a very interesting time right now. We were very excited and very honored to have received the win just recently this week to be the Army's chosen company to provide the future long-range assault aircraft, which is the replacement to the Army's Black Hawk program that's been in existence for multiple years and looking to part of the future vertical lift Army modernization efforts. So there's a lot around that really drives our digital strategy, and I'll talk about some of that in the questions. But from a perspective of Bell's take, about two or 3 years ago or more, we consciously made the decision to drop the helicopter from our name. So we were formerly known as Bell Helicopter, pioneers in aviation, 86 plus years of technology and research and development and successes in the aerospace industry. We were the first ones to break the sound barrier. We spent a lot of time developing our tilt rotor technology, and pioneers in that space as well. But the focus that it was always on the product, helicopter, and such the name was Bell Helicopter. We made a conscious decision a few years ago to drop the helicopter from our name, re-image ourselves, and to really focus Bell as a technology company redefining flight. And that's a pretty big, lofty vision. I often tell my team that it's not about bringing the bean bags and the ping pong tables to the office. It's really about focusing on how the market and our customers perceive our products as technology and not just a tool. And what are the additional value-added services that we can provide to them, to that customer, relative to the digital experience and their connected experience with our products. So I've been very excited, having been at Bell before when we were Bell Helicopter in a previous role, and coming back to Bell in this capacity as Bell, the technology company. It's been very exciting for me to see the shift in the culture that allows us to be, it makes my job a lot easier when I lay out a multi-year North Star vision as a digital strategy, that people get it, that it's part of the culture here and the mission, the shared mission to drive these types of improvements. So I'm going to stop there and pass it on to Dorcia and allow her to give her introduction as well. So look forward to the discussions.
Thanks, Todd. Very much appreciated. My name is Dorcia Jolliffe. I am the Chief Information Officer and Digital Transformation Executive for the Lockheed Martin Rotary and Mission Systems business. And that's a very long title, I know. And, you know, Aditi talked about incorporating our personal mission with our kind of our business mission. And I'll tell you, as part of my introduction of Lockheed Martin and myself, if you look up Lockheed Martin, you'll see we do a lot of cool stuff. So between fighter jets and helicopters and ships and radar, a lot of cool stuff. I saw an article last week, and the article said, and I'm particularly proud of this, and I promise I'll make the connection. The article said, the Orion spacecraft's performance has been outstanding. And that was, I think it was on a BBC website. And I'll tell you why I'm so very proud of that. Because my job right before this job, where I'm the CIO of RMS, I was the Chief Information Officer for the space business at Lockheed Martin. Now, I will remind my mom again, I'm not a rocket scientist, still not a rocket scientist, but my team provided the IT infrastructure for the Orion program in the space business. And that Orion spacecraft, we were very patient because we had some problems. If you're following the news, we had some problems launching. But our Orion spacecraft was sitting on that rocket waiting to launch because our Lockheed Martin team, that my team helped to support, we were waiting to send the first Orion aircraft orbiting the moon. And we did it, and it comes back on December 11th. So we talk about technology and we talk about digital transformation. And I think it's very, very important to me, and it's very, very important to our teams to make the connection as to why. And we digitally transform, and we want to do things better so that Orion can go around the moon, so that we as humans, and right now it's unmanned, but very shortly we'll put humans into that Orion and go around the moon. Now think about that. As an IT person, as I show up for work every day, putting people into space. Now, I know for some of you it's a big connection. Before I worked space, I worked training. And then our leader used to tell us, we bring soldiers home. So imagine, I could either show up to work and do some of that engineering-y stuff that Todd talked about, where I'm coding, or I could show up to work and bring soldiers home. And I think that is exactly why I do what I do. So I could talk about my background. I started out as a chemical engineer, and I became a software engineer, and then program management, and then IT. And over the past few years, we've been talking about digital transformation. How do we transform the business? And I think it is very, very important that we remind our teams why we do what we do. So I'll turn things over to Amanda so she could do her introduction.
Okay, thank you, Dorcia, and thank you, Todd. That was excellent. So hard to follow behind the two of you, but Dorcia, I do share in your passion for the products and services, because our company at Huntington Ingalls is very proud of we build freedom, and we try to connect our employees to that mission as well. So good morning, Aditi. Thank you for having me here today. I'm excited to be here and the opportunity and with the entire WITI community that's online with us today. So thank you. Just a little bit about myself. I'm Director and Chief of Staff for the Office of the CIO at Huntington Ingalls Industry. And Todd, we just rebranded as well. So while I say Huntington Ingalls Industries, we're now rebranding ourselves to HII to try to focus on an all-domain force of land, sea, sky, and just national defense products beyond just traditional shipbuilding. And I'll share a little bit more about each of our companies. So very exciting time to be at HII. I have our enterprise architecture team, our portfolio management team, and our program management team today. But I also work with directly in the chief of staff role with our corporate CIO, Brat Amin, who I think is here with us today. So happy to have him part of our community with us and his support. So if you're not familiar with HI, just a little bit, we're a national defense company. We build some of the world's most powerful and survival naval ships and just defense technology solutions. And like I said, that just all domain force across, the seas, the skies, and into space. 135-year history within shipbuilding itself, 43,000 employees across 3 divisions. So really a large, complex manufacturing. We've been seen as manufacturing, but we've expanded now into the services market and broader. So one of our divisions, Newport News Shipbuilding, that's where I started my career. It's headquartered in Newport News, Virginia. 25,000 employees that every day come to work to build the most powerful nuclear aircraft carriers and submarines. So really proud of that why and why they show up at work as well. And Ingalls Shipbuilding is our second shipbuilding company that's located in Pascagoula, Mississippi. Surface combats, amphibious assault ships, Coast Guard cutters. So really just a broad range of products directly for our national defense. And then lastly, Mission Technologies, which is a growing business area for us as we move forward. They're in that unmanned space or unmanned systems. They're focused more on the national security solutions for government and commercials in the service space as well. So, and they have about 7,000 employees worldwide. So just an incredible portfolio of defense products and services at HI that I'm proud to be part of, and I'm proud to represent them today. We have about 800 employees in our cyber and IT team that are focused to protect and strengthen and help enable our business units. So just in my role today, I have the opportunity to lead at a C-suite level and drive the strategy from the office of the CIO from behind the scenes. And to some that may sound strange, lead from behind the scenes, but I truly believe that you can lead from wherever you're sitting in your role. And for me, the work that I've been able to do and lean into my strengths and lead across the organization and even at the board level is something I'm really proud of. A little bit of personal about me: I played basketball in high school and in college. I was the short point guard, so I was passing the ball and I knew what everyone else on the court needed to do. And so for me in my role today as a chief of staff, that's really what I see my role as, making sure everyone knows what game we're playing, how we're supposed to play it, who's doing what, and really being that connector within our organization. So I didn't take the traditional career path into IT. I started out as an accountant, running month-end closes and cost accounting, and then Dorsey, similar to you, I just kind of, I ended up transitioning to IT and worked my way up and have held just a variety of leadership positions within the IT division. Todd, the technical piece, I've been in the test management office and the DevSecOps and worked with the developers. So kind of really been through all that, the heart and soul of how you run IT. But in 2019, Brat is really my mentor and the leader of our organization. He asked me to join him in a development role as the chief of staff while he was the CIO at Newport News. So I had a year to work under his leadership and the influence that he had to help develop me directly for a year and have that seat at the table with his direct office of the CIO staff and learn and grow. And through that, in 2020, Brat took our first CIO position at HII. At that point, we had all had autonomous and independent CIOs running our divisions, and it was a proud moment for him, number one, to get to take that position, but then for me to come along with him and really expand my chief of staff role. So I'm proud of my career and the opportunities. I went back and got my master's in IT because I think, you see IT in everything we do. It's the heart of our business, and then the cybersecurity piece. Our culture, we're trying to shift the cyber to the front of the IT, cyber and IT. So, I'm proud of the work that we do that shapes the freedom that we have every day. So thank you, Aditi, for hosting, and I look forward to the discussion with Todd and Dorcia.
Great. Thank you so much, Amanda. Thank you, Dorcia, and thanks, Todd, for your introductions. I appreciate it. How amazing to learn about you and your career journey, your stories, and the firms that you work for. So we will move into the panel discussion next. So I'm going to, pose a few questions and, see how the panelists and the speakers want to respond to that, right? So the first question is, how are you leveraging digital transformation initiatives to strengthen your organization's profit margin? And what are some of the strategies you use to advocate and champion digital transformation to become a priority in your teams and business? So I'll invite Todd to, share his views, followed by Dorcia.
Thanks, Aditi. So I mentioned the focus and the synergy around the shared mission. And I think I'll start with the strategy piece first. It was very important to ensure that the digital strategy, enabling the digital enterprise, was part of a key enabler to our strategic priorities. So having that fundamental alignment with our strategic priorities that we set every year, and paving out that vision, how digital plays into that role. One of the key things that I found was very helpful in enabling not only that to happen just in words and on paper, was to actually bring our executive leadership team through that journey as well. So taking a subset of the leadership team, including our CEO, and sitting them down with technology companies and having the conversation about how this enablement is going to happen, and getting them to understand the vision. And that was very important. But as it relates to how do we leverage that for the transformative part of our business and growing our business, I'll quickly answer just two sides of this. So definitely those of us that are in the aerospace and defense, and more on the defense side of aerospace and defense, because some of us play a little bit of both commercial and the military side, we are faced with, and I'd like to, maybe offline talk to Dorcia and Amanda a little more, the pressure, it's cost pressures to continually try to compete and perform in this industry. And we continue to see challenge in that space. So digital transformation is an essential imperative to helping us get the efficiency in our business, to drive down the overhead and to reduce complexity. So it's very important. But also we're seeing it's an essential strategic enabler to be able to compete in future contracts that require model-based systems engineering, that require modular open systems architectures, that require us as our key customers in the Department of Defense start to also enable their digital transformations. They're raising the bar on us as well, and putting that not just in terms of ideals are nice to haves, but very specific deliverables and contracts. And set aside just the cybersecurity and maturity model piece that we have to go comply with. I mean, we're talking about truly collaborative engineering and everything else. On our commercial businesses, or in the commercial business space, the digital transformation is going to be very important for us to be able to unlock more potential around a connected customer, our connected business, and connected fleet. We have a tremendous amount of assets, data assets in our products, the sensory information, the performance, and so forth, that we can not only improve our engineering and time to market and our whole development life cycle through the insights, but also improve the customer experience through that journey of owning and operating an aircraft, and allowing us to drive more advanced analytics and data sciences around the information, the digital aspects of those digital assets, and drive value-added services, not only for us and to increase opportunities to provide spares and logistics for our customers, but create new sources of growth and revenue for us as well through these value-added services. So I'll just stop right there and then hand it over to Dorcia, and I'm sure she has some thoughts to share.
So Todd, you didn't have to stop, because I could have copied that answer and pasted it for my company. You did an outstanding job.
Thank you.
And you know, a few of the things that you said that I really keyed into, this whole transformation thing and digital transformation. I was watching a YouTube video the other day, and they were talking about, we opened the digital transformation box and said, oh, this is huge. And it's not only us in the A&D area that's transforming, the commercial companies are transforming too. So it's not unique to our industry. And you talked about, like, when you think about digital transformation, what are we talking about? We're talking about, and I'd even say, you talked about model-based systems engineering. What about a model-based enterprise, where not just the engineering piece, but you fold into the full life cycle, from the design to the development, and then the production, and then the sustainment, and then the, you know, the circle complete. So there's the model-based enterprise. You talked about interoperability. How do you take all the pieces that you had separate and pull them together within that digital thread? And then you talked about commonality. I heard it in your conversation, and I think we all have that same challenge. How do we take things that kind of pull together as we evolve our companies and change names and rebrand and, you know, acquire? How do we take all the different disparate systems and technology and make them all common, because commonality should increase efficiency, right? And then you mentioned it too, we call it data as a strategic asset, that data that's flowing through our digital thread. So we all have the same set of challenges. Aditi, you asked at the end, how do we get focus in our business to this big thing that is just so hard to talk about, and how do we wrap our arms around it?
Yeah.
I think it goes back to that mission. I think when we open that digital transformation box, there's so much we could do. And by the way, us tech people can geek out on tech forever and ever. We could build some awesome things. And how, I was gonna say how we simplify the problem, but that's not true. We're not simplifying, we're prioritizing, because this problem, this transformation problem couldn't be simple. How we prioritize, at least at Lockheed Martin, how we prioritize what we do is back to that initial conversation about the mission. What are the things that we need to do to affect our programs, to make our delivery more efficient so that we can serve our end customer? And I think we get most effective with this digital transformation thing when we can make that connection. And what that does for support people like us in the business, like the folks like IT and engineering who help enable those solutions, if we show that we are mission first, not technology first, if we show that we're really, really supporting the mission, if we show that our end customer, our end users, the folks that are really using our products, if we show the biggest benefit to them, then we convince the program folks, right? We pull everybody along because we are, and by the way, we are also pulling along our customers who are also going through their own transformation journey. So I think the key, at least for us, has been tying the digital transformation to the mission and showing how we prioritize changing the things that will advance the mission the fastest and most efficient, and pushing those things out first, and the others will come. Over to you, Amanda.
Well, that's great. Not much I can add to that. The things that we pick up from is the expectations there. The expectation for IT to be different, to change, is there, and to deliver and deliver more and deliver faster. because the pressures are there on the business. So the pressures are real, the cost pressures. So Dorsey, exactly, how do we prioritize those investments? How do we connect them back to the business? That's a big part of what our portfolio management team is trying to do as well. But it's real, and it's the digital thread is across our entire ecosystem, across our business units, and I think we're trying to keep up at that rate of the pace of change that the business needs us to do. And really, to do that, we have to do the prioritization, tie it back to the business needs, and then just show how IT is embedded across the entire ecosystem.
Yeah, just to share some thoughts on that, right? As we look at digital transformation initiatives, right? Some of the things that we do is to work with our clients to kind of understand the business case and develop a roadmap and a North Star, right? And the innovation cycle there would be to incubate, to try something out, and then to industrialize, right? Incubate, pilot, industrialize. And in this whole cycle, we look at the value that one would be getting from these transformation exercises. And then some of them will show tremendous value and we scale them, and the others probably won't. Then we learn from it and move on to the next one. So that's kind of how we see our clients respond. And I know in the shipyards, Amanda, I visited your shipyards a couple of times, and it's amazing as to how much manufacturing goes on there. You know, you start from sheet metal all the way to a finished ship, right? That's what you think. Amazing amount of engineering, technology, and manufacturing that happens in a shipyard. And there's so much opportunity to digitally transform the shipyard by bringing connectivity, streamlining the processes and improving the speed to market, the quality, and all those aspects, which I know everyone is working on. So thank you so much for sharing your views. So the next question is going to be on cybersecurity. And Amanda, this is for you. We often hear about ransomware attacks and an increase in cybersecurity threats in the headlines, right? How are you and your team encouraging an approach that is more proactive and that fosters a culture that adopts security best practices proactively?
Sure. Thank you, Aditi. So at HI, we take cybersecurity very seriously, and we have to, because of the nature of business that I talked about that we're in the defense and protecting our freedom. We're a national defense contractor and considered critical infrastructure for the U.S. For the products we build. So the data that's in our environment, in our network, is heavy regulated, and Todd, you talked about the CMMC compliance. We're fighting those battles too. What does it mean to us? How do we get there? So we take it very serious. And so when we hear about ransomware attacks and the things that's happening in the industry, protection of our company and our crown jewels or our assets is really one of our highest priorities. Recently we've been talking about cyber attack platforms as a service, as a new strategic threat. And how that changes the landscape and the speed at which these attackers can come at us. So, there's a series of things that we probably do at HI, and working, I work directly with our CIO and our CISO on how do we get ready. Because we talk a lot about, it's not necessarily, if it's going to happen, it's kind of when it's going to happen from those ransom attacks, and are we there and we prepared? So the first thing is, I think we have top-down agreement, alignment on the importance of cybersecurity across our company. When Brock came over as our first CIO at HI, we have a cyber board committee that meets with the regular board every time, just to talk about cybersecurity. How are we doing? We talk about our strategy, we talk about our risk, we talk about our compliance, and that really keeps cybersecurity at the forefront of, at the highest level of the company. We talk about how do we identify, detect, protect, respond, and recover. So that's like our strategy. If we can be ready in those core capabilities, then we think we can be proactive and have those insights to be able to respond if or when there's a ransom attack. We recently started a digital defense modernization program. So you can't have cybersecurity without the infrastructure that goes along with it. So it's really the program of how do we modernize our cybersecurity capabilities even further to keep keep ahead of the threats. You've probably heard in the industry and read a lot of articles about zero trust architecture. So this program really just takes that architecture and takes the concept that we don't trust anyone. The concept that you don't trust anyone on your network. You authenticate and you verify at every entry point. And so that's really what that program's doing. And it's changing the culture of how we see cybersecurity at HII, because I think I mentioned early on, the 3 divisions until we had the corporate CIO really were autonomous in how they ran their cybersecurity operations, their infrastructure. And, talk about transformation. This is transformation within cybersecurity of how do we bring those 3 divisions together, and how do we leverage the capabilities so that we have that single pane of glass, I guess you would say, of threats, and we can have the intel to be able to react and respond quickly to that. So, another huge focus for us is our people. So we've really increased our cybersecurity awareness training, our attack simulations, and how do we help people become part of our defense culture at HII. So our CISO has really been focused on that, and the people aspect to just bring that awareness, newsletters, memos. We even have screensavers on our computers to make sure people are aware of what's the things that they should look for when a phishing email comes out. How do they respond? How do they report those so that we are aware of some of the threats and attacks coming into us? So our goal is just to create that force multiplier of people, processes, and tools across 3 divisions to mature our cyber operations. So as we start to transform and we grow and across all the companies, how do we make sure we protect our assets? So it's just the beginning of our journey in this transformation with this DDM program. But we talk daily. We know these threats are real. We know they're costly to companies. So we can't let our guard down in that regard. So it's highly important to us, and our goal is to be proactive and be ready when the time does come.
That's great. Thank you, Amanda. So I think what you touched on was so important, that, the focus from the top level, right? And then the culture, the awareness, and building the common backbone, right? So there is a real plan to, protect the firm and to protect the assets, right? So it's so important. So thank you for sharing your comments. So go to the next question. Which is, where do you see the industry heading in the next 3 to 5 years? And how do you stay current on innovation? And how do you evaluate innovation for your programs inside your firm? So I'll track that question to Todd.
Thank you. So we touched upon a lot of it. I really see this continued trend around model-based engineering, the open source architectures to collaborate across what our customers and the services are seeing is they want to avoid this concept of vendor lock. They want to be able to decide that you're my OEM and you have a partner ecosystem, but we may want this piece of work to go somewhere else, and this piece and not have to be tied down to a CAD system or engineering architectures that prevent them from being decisive about where they want to take their work. And I think that's really putting a lot of pressure on us in industry. Dorcia mentioned the model-based enterprise. That is the North Star here to enable that life cycle where the physical world is aligned with the digital world all the way through the entire life cycle of our product. And the more that we can create systems of learning and models throughout that entire life cycle to enable the improvement of our engineering, our manufacturing, our sustainability all the way through. As an example, we're working right now, we have a fully model base of our manufacturing technology center, which is our proving grounds of all the technologies that we're going to do to make them future vertical lift aircraft. And that exists in the digital world, and we can simulate the entire factory. And those are capabilities that are here and now present, and I'm sure others have those too. So that's definitely the trend. And how do you stay on top of that? I spend a lot of time discussing these types of topics with my peer groups, others in industry, I participate in a lot of CIO forums and a lot of discussions like this. I find that network is very important. And even peers across the aerospace and defense industry, many of us, and us on this call, we represent like the top 1% of aerospace and defense. It's a huge industry. If you include all of the different tiers of the supply chain. And there's a lot that we all go through, and there's a lot of shared successes. Amanda and I were just talking in the green room before the event about our move to O365 GovCloud community and their potential look at that as well. And there's a lot we can share in having those conversations, those little moments where we create these catalysts of conversation. And a lot of times we're also, when we may be competitors of each other, we're also partners with each other. And we do share a lot of synergy in that sense. And I do take a lot of advice in talking to the solution implementers and thought leaders like yourself at ED, having conversations with individuals in industry that have been there and seen the different failures and successes across implementations. So that's kind of where I get my inspiration from. I think Amanda, you may have some thoughts on this one as well.
Thanks, Todd.
Yeah, I think we were hearing Dorcia. Are you good?
Dorcia, you wanted to add anything to that?
Sure, I can. You're a good first person to go, Todd. Everything he said.
Don't go to me first next time.
I love it when you go first. The other thing, when we look at the trends, right, you talked about that digital thread, the model-based engineering. I think as we look forward, we're going to have an opportunity to be bold. Because if all of us build a digital thread, and that digital thread includes all of our vendors and our competitors and our peers, and I build a digital thread and you build a digital thread and we have data flowing through it, how do we connect those so that we don't have our own separate standalone systems? And I actually don't know the final answer because we're in the process of building the answer. And that's the bold part, right? Because we're used to having our own ciphers and we build things within our ciphers and we launch our products. But we're moving away from that. And what does the solution look like? And I think the key to finding the solution is exactly what you said, Todd. How do we continue to talk to each other respectfully? How do we continue to collaborate respectfully? How do we partner so that we not only do all this transformation stuff within our own companies, but it spreads out. So we build this ecosystem that's fair for everybody, including our customers, but also continues to make us efficient and effective. So I think that's the connection to how you started.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much, Todd and Dorcia. I think just for the sake of the audience, some of the technologies that are coming into the industry are 5G, private LTE, cloud, edge computing, artificial intelligence, neural networks, machine learning, augmented and virtual reality. So the audience, just think about so many different technologies that can be brought in to drive business outcomes, right? But I think at the heart of everything is organization change management, right? What kind of culture do we have or are we building in these very traditional aerospace and defense companies, right? Where folks have been working the same way for a long time and making brilliant and great products, right? How do you infuse new changes in there, new ways of working, new processes, and get the adoption and kind of keep moving forward and faster to generate profit and business outcomes, right? So I think that organization change management and adoption would be a key area for us to focus on as we look at the industry trends and new technologies. And the user experience also is going to become very important, right? What is new technologies and new ways of working, what kind of user experience that's creating, and is it making everything more easier to work with than more difficult to work with, right? All right, so thank you. And there's one more question here. So for the members of our audience who are in all different stages of their career, like some are in aerospace and defense, and some are in adjacent and other industries, when they look at advancing their career to the next role, what advice would you provide to these women and men in advancing their careers, or even choosing aerospace and defense as a career for them? Yeah. So Dorcia, Amanda, and Todd, all of you would help hopefully answer this question for us.
I yield to Dorcia.
Okay.
Well, that's what I get for talking about you going first. Well, Aditi, I'm going to take an interesting view of this question, right?
Sure.
Because of something Amanda said earlier. So, Amanda, you talked about you used to be a basketball player, and you talked about passing the ball when you were a basketball player. And that made me think immediately of my 8th grade daughter who's playing basketball now. And I just went to her game 2 nights ago, and she was amazing. She got so good. I missed a couple of games and she got good. And she's passing the ball. And I think about my daughter, and she is fantastic at basketball. And she also has this amazing brain, like how she thinks. Fast forward, you talk about careers and people are different. That daughter who's very different from me, so she won't be a chemical engineer and she won't have my path, nor will she have the path that you talked about, Aditi, or you talked about, Amanda, and you talked about Todd. But think about that daughter. There's something else that you said, Aditi. You said, I wrote it down, we now have to focus on incubation and experimentation. As we transform, we're incubating and transforming and experimenting. What if that amazing 8th grade daughter who learned to pass the ball like Amanda talked about and learned to work with a team, what if we brought her fully to the table? Yeah. And what if she brought all of her experiences? What if she brought herself to the table so that we could incubate and experiment and continue to transform the business? Yeah. What if that little girl who had no idea that we used to be this stodgy, very streamlined, segregated industry, what if she never experienced that and she brought her basketball playing self and she got to fully contribute?
That would be amazing.
Wouldn't it though? And so,
it would be.
you ask, when we think about our careers, when we think about how we advance and all the different people with all their background. I'm an immigrant who grew up in Jamaica, and I'm talking about Orion going around the moon and how I'm supporting that. I got an opportunity to bring that to the table. I think when we're thinking about our careers, think big. Think, and we as leaders in our companies need to make space for all those thoughts, all those amazing people. We need to think out of our comfort zone. We need to look different from what we usually pick because we're doing things differently. Yeah. So a weird answer to your question, but I was inspired by all of the feedback that we got during this conversation. And what if is the thought that comes to my mind.
Wow.
I love it, Dorcia. I think that's great. And you know, my first thought in this conversation was have that confidence to be you. And I think that's really what you were just describing there is know that you bring something unique and different to the table that maybe not everyone else does. And we do need to bring more people, more women into this career field and in IT and let them have a seat at the table. I'm thankful that I have that seat today. And how do we help others? And being a female sitting around a table with predominantly male men, you have to have that confidence to know that whatever skill you bring or talent or creativity, and it may not be a hard development coding skill or whatever that is be you. And I think people will recognize that strength and that talent in you, knowing what those are. So I can continue to go on too. So Aditi, I don't know what time, and if we want to give Todd time to talk, but
we have time. You can share your views. We have 10 minutes. Yeah.
I just one thing to add to it is the relationships that you build. You know, I started out that early in my career, I didn't take the traditional path without having someone who saw something in me and said, hey, you could come to IT. you have to have those relationships in every level of work, whether it's within your organization, across external and into the industry, that help mentor to you and guide you. And I'm super thankful for the people that I've had that's helped me and helped given me that confidence that you can do this, you can sit at the table, and share the ups and downs of your career, because we all have them. And then the last thing I'll add, Todd, and I promise I'll give it to you, is really, really to continue to learn and develop. I mean, I can tell you, I'm sure Dorsey and Todd, all of us at DD, we've had lots of failures over our career and things that we've learned from, and you have to take those as developing opportunities. And, I think back, I'm so thankful for the career at HIO for coming up on 20 years next year. I've had the opportunity to learn and grow and with this company as the company's grown, and taking those things that I've failed on or not done so well at and learned and done better the next time. So continue to learn and grow is what I offer to all those out there in the WITI community, male or female. Build your relationships and just have that confidence to be you, whether you're a basketball player or wherever you came from and grew up, your background. Be who you are and be authentic. So Todd, over to you.
Well, those are all wonderful thoughts.
I know.
Hard to follow. But Amanda, I did pick up, and I was inspired by your comment about being an accountant and moving into IT. I find, as I look for talent, that there are a percentage of the experienced hires. I do a lot of university recruiting as well, but the experienced hires that I bring to my team, I bring from functions like finance, supply chain, engineering, because while it's sometimes hard to teach them all the technical stuff and IT operations and understanding that, the tremendous knowledge that they bring around the business and the process, and just the diversity of thought that they bring into the team is so powerful. And I am a truly a leader that believes in the diversity of thought and diversity of talent on the team, and really make sure that there's a full representation across the entire organization. And I'm very proud that a lot of the individuals can look up also at Textron and see that our Textron Chief Information Officer, Kimberly McEnroth, who was one of those individuals that moved into IT from a supply chain role. And I remember early in my career at Textron having the conversation with her, and she's like, they're asking me to move into IT. And then, a few years later, having the conversation, they're asking me to go to one of our businesses to be a CIO, and really seeing her career blossom and she's a tremendous advocate for women in technology as well. So I certainly have a tremendous amount of respect for her. And then personally as well, I have two daughters that are in their 20s, mid 20s now, and they make me a better leader, just seeing them continue to focus on their passions for medicine and STEM and whatever they choose to do in their life, and allowing me to learn from them and their own personal experiences and challenges. And my youngest daughter is home for working home for the holidays and working remotely while she's staying with us for the holidays, and having these personal conversations with her about her career and some of the challenges that she has as a woman in technology. And it's a tremendous growth opportunity for me to be able to share that with them and learn from them as well. But I think lastly, I would just say also from an industry perspective, one of the things I think that's unique, it's just generally unique about IT, is, and maybe other functions as well, like finance and HR and others, that you don't necessarily have to be an industry expert to move into a career in a new industry. If you have strong, understanding of software development or infrastructure or cybersecurity, the industry knowledge will come. And I think that's also a little bit of a challenge for us too, because that creates a wide opportunity for people to come in and out of our industry. So it works both ways. But I just wanted to share that thought as well.
Thank you so much, Todd, Darcia, Amanda. Those were remarkable comments. I think I've learned so much, and I'm sure the audience has also really taken some great learnings from this session. I think in terms of developing a career, I think relationships are important. Networking is super important. Continuing to grow and learn, which Amanda talked about, is very, very important because there's always new technology, new way of doing things. With COVID coming in and going, there's lots of things have changed, keeping up with the new ways of working. There's a lot that we can do ourselves in our career. I also suggest that our young professionals have a board of directors around them, right? It's an informal board of directors that one can go to and seek their guidance and advice, when there's a moment where they need help or as they are thinking through their next career move, right? I have an amazing team at DXC Technology. I feel so honored to have my team around me with my operations director, finance director, delivery director, HR directors, all working with me. And, they have had different career paths in their life, but in our mission, which is how we serve the mission of our country as a DXC Aerospace and Defense portfolio, it's the same. We have the same goal, we have the same mission, but we all bring different skills to make the business grow and get better and better, right? So our account executives all come from different backgrounds, but they have a passion to serve their customers for digital transformation, to be a thought leader, to be a trusted advisor. And every day we wake up and we think about how do we bring the better version of ourselves? How do we learn from mistakes? How do we grow? How do we continue to evolve in the journey of leadership? So those are some of my closing thoughts, but I have tremendously enjoyed this discussion today, learning from you and sharing things with you. And I appreciate the time you've spent with us, giving us an hour of your time today. And really, thank you so much. I think David Layton wanted to, put in some closing comments, but thank you again.
Thank you, Aditi. And yes, thank you, Todd, Dorsey, and Amanda. Amazing session. Prior to starting WITI, our clients were all in aerospace and defense in the 80s. So kind of coming full circle, and a lot of the structures that we worked with, Hughes and TRW, Lockheed way back in the day. And now here we are 33 years later on Zoom and talk about digital transformation and just the possibilities for the future. Creating cultures and environments to let everybody be fully authentic in how they work, and helping the companies leverage that power is really, I think, what it's all about going forward. And there's kind of spaces for everybody. We all bring unique talents and skills. So thanks everybody for really enforcing that and being such leaders and trailblazers. And Todd, we have spots for your daughter at WITI, so we want to support her throughout her journey. It's been great seeing so many WITI members, many of which are here at our conference this week, started in college, and now there's CIOs or CTOs of major companies or took different journeys. So thanks, everybody. We'll be joining the WITI Africa track, which is wrapping up. We're going to do a couple of rounds of speed connecting so everybody can meet each other and build new relationships. So if you're available to stay, later today, we have sessions on climate change, container and cloud development, some how to build your personal brand. So check out the schedule. Thanks everybody for being here, and we'll get going with the